What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dog Pound Discussions. I know what you might be thinking. You're probably sitting there asking yourself a couple of questions. Number one, I understand I look like a nerd. This is a one-episode thing. Get over it, move on. Second thing, no, I don't have Queso with me today, unfortunately. I wish I did, but instead is Tony Battaglio. Tony, how you doing?
Great. Lakin's gonna love that, so thanks for that, because that's what we need. More people calling me Queso. What's with that championship belt on your shoulder? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so a lot of people aren't going to understand this reference, but for those who will, the reason why I'm holding this here championship belt is just a reminder to our little emphasis on little friend who lives in a box chunk. I just wanted to remind him that he will never own anything like this. So Chunk, if you would like, here in about a month, you can challenge for this, but you will never ever hold anything like this. And I will throw this out there. I am looking to add, because just like Roman Reigns, I'm just going to take them all. So yeah.
Right,
now it's a little heavy, so we're gonna set the gold down. But speaking of trying to get the gold, Tony, free agency is in full effect. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Well, I mean, you just wasted 2 minutes talking about your obsession with poor Chunk. But, I don't know if you guys seen social media over this past week, but I, unfortunately, caused a little bit of a stir in the previous episode, and I made some comments that we're not aligned with our values here at Dog Pound Discussions. So I just wanted to give a very heartfelt apology to those people. So, bear with me. This is going to be tough. Dear Michael Cozy, I apologize for offending you. I should not have made the comments about Browns After Dark. I didn't realize that I would mention it and revive it from the grave for the 5th time. I so look forward to the episode on the Twitter space later with 5 listeners with such enthralling people like Woos and JC and Brock and, all the fun, loving characters we've come to know. But, again, I'd like to apologize to fucking nobody.
Well, I would like to throw out a disclaimer that on this side of the podcast here, I am not responsible and or will be taking any blame for anything Tony says, because Tony likes to do whatever Tony likes to do. So we're just gonna leave it at that.
I'm gonna continue to do what I like to do. Let's get into it. What's been going on around the NFL after that enthralling 5 minutes where we just did absolutely nothing of value? Let's talk about free agency.
Well,
some big moves around the league.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing's happened around the NFL. Let's dive into the list here. Kirk Cousins is a Atlanta Falcon. I almost said Minnesota Viking for the 80th time. But Kirk Cousins is a Falcon. That's crazy. I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was silly season and they were going to trade for Justin Fields, but no. Kirk Cousins is going to be down there with Quavo getting fitted for some chains. So, hey, Kyle Pitts fantasy owners, we might be back. We might be back.
Maybe if they correctly utilize Bijan Robinson, that could be a fun offense to watch for fantasy purposes. But my thought on the Kirk Cousins deal is I feel like he snaked his way into another guaranteed deal that he doesn't deserve, because he's in his mid-30s and he's coming off of an Achilles injury that is probably career-altering. And somehow the Falcons were just like, yeah, bro, here's a bag. Come hang out with us. Don't know why, but when Justin Fields is there, I don't know why you would want Kirk Cousins, but by all means, congratulations. You got your next Matt Ryan, apparently.
Yeah, and I saw Kirk Cousins' total throughout his career is damn near at $400 million. So shout out to his agent. Not entirely sure who his agent is, but Kirk Cousins, for being a solid to good quarterback, has made very good quarterback money over his career. But
Absolutely.
moving on, the one that many people had linked to the Browns, sorry, Dipple, Christian Wilkins is signed to the Las Vegas Raiders. He gets a ridiculous, ridiculous bag. Um, I was
Christian
shocked.
Wilkins got a massive bag, and he even said he was playing for the money, and he got himself paid. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. It's unfortunate. I wanted him in Cleveland, but can't get everything you want.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked. I could not believe that Christian Wilkins signed what he ended up signing. That just goes to show you the dream of him being a Cleveland Brown died very, very fast.
Absolutely.
Um, the next one that we need to talk about here, there was a lot of shakeups in the running back market, and none bigger than Saquon Barkley jumping ship from the New York Giants, jumping over to division rival Philadelphia Eagles. Boy, oh boy, Tone. This is.
Um, that's gonna rub a lot of people in New York the wrong way. I have a feeling that there's a lot of Giants fans out there that aren't too happy right now, and there's a lot of Philly fans that are just laughing at them. All the New York Giants fans are sitting in their broom closets that they pay $2,500 a month for, pounding the walls because Saquon Barkley is no longer a New York Giant. Speaking of the New York Giants, I'm not sure what they're thinking at the quarterback position at the moment either, because they have Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, and I believe Drew Lock. Correct me
Yep,
if I'm wrong, Derek.
yep.
Yeah, that's just a very mayonnaise quarterback room, and I don't know how they're going to have any success.
Hey, but they flipped that defense around pretty well. A defense now that has Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dexter Lawrence on the same line.
Yeah, they should be sending roses to the Carolina Panthers for giving away Brian Burns for
Yeah.
essentially nothing. Ever since David Tepper took over, the Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC have been the two worst ran franchises in North America in general. Being a Charlotte/Carolina fan right now is like living in hell. And I said this on Twitter. Shout out my boy Trev. Yeah, man, I don't know how you do it. You're stronger than I am because it's worse than any time being any type of Cleveland fan, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly hard to argue. They have between the Bryce Young trade and now the Brian Burns trade, they have screwed themselves over and over
Let's
and
not
over.
let's not forget DJ Moore,
Yep.
CMC, go on and on.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan ownership awful for the Hornets.
Yeah.
Carolina's in hell right now.
Yeah. Speaking of in hell, Bengals fans are going to be in hell because they have convinced themselves that one Justin Jefferson will join his LSU teammate in Cincinnati. Tone, this ain't happening. I think it's
No.
hilarious. There's no world. If you think that Cincinnati is too cheap to pay a guy like T. Higgins, who they already have on this team, do you think they are going to trade what it takes to go get Justin Jefferson and then sign him? Absolutely not. He will not be a Bengal.
That yawn right there is pretty symbolic of what it feels like to talk about the Bengals because it's just a bunch of boring nonsense. And the likelihood of Justin Jefferson going to the Cincinnati Bengals is about as likely as Zim continuously tweeting that the T. Higgins extension was done. Because as you can see, T. Higgins no longer wants to be in Cincinnati because they know that Mike Brown is a cheapskate and he's not going to get the deal that he deserves at the end of the day. That Joe Burrow contract pretty much wiped out any chance they had of re-signing T. Higgins. And I think that's something that we knew and then Bengals fans knew years ago, but they refused to come to terms with.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the Cincinnati, Kentucky Bengals, let's take a look around the AFC North, Tony, because this is absurd. I am pissed off. The AFC North got, I would say, significantly better. Starting off here with the Baltimore Ravens, they go out and they somehow manage to get Derrick Henry in the backfield with Lamar Jackson. first things first, Jerry Jones, fuck you, because you're the reason why this
Yep.
happened. You could have signed Derrick Henry. You should have signed Derrick Henry. And instead, he goes to Baltimore. Listen, everybody wants to point out, hey, the Browns held Derrick Henry to like 11 carries for 22 yards or whatever it is. Listen, that's Derrick Henry in the backfield with Ryan Tannehill. That's Derrick Henry in the backfield with, I don't think he was, who played when we played them last? Was it Tannehill still?
No, it might have been. I don't even know. It wasn't Malik Willis. It was
It wasn't Levis.
what? It wasn't Will Levis, was it?
No, that's what I'm trying to think. Who we
I don't know.
played?
Some irrelevant quarterback Tennessee had in the backfield.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry joins the Baltimore Ravens. They lose Gus Edwards and replace him
With Derrick Henry of all people.
Yeah.
Just reloading. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they did lose Patrick Queen, which is a big hit for them. And it's kind of ironic that he just went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's more of our luck. Where he's just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
speak.
I
Go
believe news broke today. Sorry, Derek.
You're good.
They're cutting. I'm pretty sure Odell Beckham Jr. is getting cut. So
Yes. That's confirmed. He is cut. So that's not really that surprising, but yeah, I mean Baltimore hasn't really, they've lost some stuff on their defense. Geno Stone goes to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
I think that's a good addition. It's not anything huge, but in terms of what the Bengals have lost, Chidobe Awuzie is gone. DJ Reader's a free agent. T. Higgins wants out. That team, you know, if there's any team in the AFC North during this free agency period that you could argue got worse, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. So
I don't understand the idea of replacing Joe Mixon with Zach Moss.
yeah,
And not only that, but the Bengals screwed themselves by saying they're going to release Joe Mixon because they just pretty much trapped themselves into only getting a 7th round pick for a guy that did a lot for them over his time in Cincinnati.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. They got to find a way. I mean, I would like, you know, we'll talk about it later with the Browns, but I would love the Browns to get DJ Reader, but if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, you are on your knees talking to the Lord, begging him to get DJ Reader back because you now have in the AFC North Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and then that Steelers combination between Najee Harris and Jalen Warren.
Yep.
Yikes. You got to have somebody in the middle.
Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry read options are going to be the scariest thing in the NFL this season.
Yeah. And Madden is going to be disgusting with them.
Torrey's going to run that every play.
Of course. Moving on to the
Steelers. The Steelers got pretty good. Signed Russell Wilson. You know, he's going to have a good game and go out there and say something corny like Steele got it or something. It's going to be kind of annoying. Or, you know, George Pickens is going to be bumping Future next to Russ, and he's going to wonder why he didn't get the football. But they also, as previously mentioned, they also picked up Patrick Queen, and they traded Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers for Dante Jackson and a pick swap. Touching on Russell Wilson, pause. Last week, I said on this podcast, I do not care where I don't care where Russell Wilson goes as long as he does not end up in Pittsburgh. And unfortunately, the nightmare came true. Steelers country, here we go for Russell Wilson. Patrick Queen's a great addition to that defense, and so is Dante Jackson as well. As for losing Deontay Johnson, I think they can cope because they do have George Pickens. They will likely take a receiver in the draft, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, that.
Excuse me, Derek. What's your thoughts on the Steelers' additions and subtractions as well?
So I'm very happy that they traded Deontay Johnson, just because I didn't find him to be very good. He was just very frustrating to play against. That's a guy who's a good route runner. He's got good speed, and you know, I was happy to see him go. But to your point, they're probably going to take a receiver. How high? I don't know. I still, fingers crossed, that they decide to go offensive line or corner with their first round pick. Because if they ended up landing one of those top receivers, I'd be pissed. But yeah, I mean, the addition of Patrick Queen, what an asshole going from Baltimore to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Russell Wilson. Listen, we talked about it. I still think Russ has something left in the tank, but I think this is either going to be a boom signing or a huge bust. I don't think there's any in between. I think either Russ comes out and he's great for the Steelers, or I think Russ comes out and it's bad because there is a chance it could get bad. You already mentioned George Pickens, in that whole situation. If he doesn't get the ball, that could be bad. They don't really, as it stands right now, it's pretty much George Pickens and then Calvin Austin with, with what they got there at wide receiver. So they're going to have to do something. I don't know what route they're going to go. I would rather them go receiver in the second than them end up getting one of those top guys. But
So,
who knows?
speaking of big time wide receivers, can we talk about
Yes.
the fact that the Browns and Andrew Berry pulled off what I would feel like is one of the heists of the century, trading Jerry Jeudy for a fifth and a sixth.
Yep.
We got Jerry Jeudy for a fifth rounder and a sixth rounder. And Andrew Berry once again shows that the draft is not the only way to build a football team.
Yeah, and I am giddy no Josh about this Jerry Jeudy trade because he is an absolute dude. I'm telling you right now, like everybody, Tony's trying not to laugh. You can let it out. Um, everybody's
Oh,
sitting
you
here.
said that.
Everybody's sitting here talking about how Jerry Jeudy, like people are saying, oh, he's not good. He's not a good receiver. Let me tell you something. This is a guy who's a Blitnikoff winner in college. He was the best receiver at the time on the in the same receiver room as, sorry to bring him up, but Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Like Jerry Jeudy was the number one. This guy is somebody who never broke out. He's been a disappointment. He was the 15th overall pick, but he's had Drew Lock throwing to him, Russell Wilson at this point in his career throwing to him. I'm trying to think who else they have there. Like just a horrible, horrible list of quarterbacks throwing to him,
Yep.
offensive changes, coaching changes. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a great, great move for the Browns. You trade a fifth and a sixth round pick for a guy who's turning 25 years old next month, former 15th overall pick, a guy who has elite potential, not just good, elite potential, a guy who ran a 4.4, he's fast, we need some speed, problem solved there. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. That's a great addition. And you pair him with a guy in Amari Cooper who is the closest thing you could say. I mean, Jerry Jeudy is, in my opinion, a younger, faster Amari Cooper. And if that's what the Browns are getting, which I believe that's what we are getting, you have your number one receiver for years to come. And on the flip side of it, if I'm wrong, and everybody who says he sucks and can't play football is for whatever reason correct, well, guess what? You traded a fifth and a sixth, and you don't have to keep him past this year. So I see literally no negatives with this Jerry Jeudy trade. I think this is the most low risk, extremely high reward of a trade I think that Andrew Berry has made. Tony, Browns trade for Jerry Jeudy. He's wearing number 3, which I like that. Not that it matters, but it's cool. What'd you think of it?
Stellar trade, like I said. Once again, Andrew Berry kind of flexes his muscles and shows that, a lot of people can say Andrew Berry doesn't draft well, blah, 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 blah. John Dorsey is better at drafting. Maybe that's true, but again, the draft is not the only way to build a football team. The draft is for rebuilding football teams. We are an established football team. We're making moves to continue winning games, not trying to win games. We're a contender now. This is not the 2000s where it's like, oh boy, can't wait to see what quarterback we draft at number 3 again. We're building a winning team. We have a winning formula, and we're just adding to it. And Jerry Jeudy was a missing piece. Love Cedric Tillman. All respect to David Bell, but they're not Jerry Jeudy. Had to get a bona fide number 2 in there. Elijah Moore's been a disappointment. Jakeem Grant's leg kept giving out on him. Though
Yeah.
we brought in Naheem Hines, speaking of kick returners. And then, yeah, Jerry Jeudy, great move. Love it. I hope we can finish off a strong free agency and add some pieces on the defense. I'll be happy. But
Hmm.
yeah, as far as the Jerry Jeudy move is concerned, I love it. Huge fan, was happy when it came out. And the price we got him for, amazing deal.
Absolutely. So that's how free agency kicked off technically for the Browns. Now, from there, there's a lot of stuff happened for the Browns, whether it be bringing guys back, but we also did lose a couple guys. But we did restructure Jedrick Wills, converted $13.5 million to a signing bonus, added a void year, which cleared up $10 million, roughly a little bit over $10 million in cap space. Um, Jack Duffin, Tony, I don't know if you saw, he tweeted out basically pointing out that the Browns have some restructures that they certainly could and probably should do. So I wouldn't write off the Browns being necessarily done. I don't know how much they're going to want to roll over into next year because there will be some guys to be signed. But, Jedrick Wills getting his contract cleared up a little bit helps out. Um, we'll see. We'll see if the Browns want to add some more room. But nevertheless, there's some guys in the door, some guys out the door. Unfortunately, in a very sad, awful, horrible, sad situation, Sione Takitaki signs with the New England Patriots. Just absolutely heartbroken.
Broke my heart. Broke my heart. Especially after what I said on the podcast 2 weeks ago. He got some guapi, but it
wasn't from Andrew Berry.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Sione Takitaki. Mostly because I just like hearing the announcers say dumb stuff like Taki with a tackle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hurt a little bit. And it caught me by surprise because I thought he would return to Cleveland, and it makes me wonder, what are we doing with the linebacker room?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Taki was, if you said, hey, put money down on who from this roster for sure to be back, Taki would have been on the top of my list. I thought for sure there was no way we were letting him walk out the door. But he joins Mac Wilson in the glory days of the Browns linebacker room in New England. So,
yep.
Congratulations.
Speaking of the linebacker room, we did add Hicks. I like that. Jordan Hicks is now a Cleveland Brown. Solid deal as well. But one of the probably the biggest news to come from free agency for us on the defensive side of the football, Zadarius Smith has re-signed with the Cleveland Browns, and that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to have Zadarius Smith back. I was kind of on the fence about it, but he brings a lot to the D-end room, D-line, a guy that we definitely will need next year. Since, the Khalil Mack stuff came and went so fast, it was basically dead on arrival.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the re-signing and the exiting of our linebackers?
Yeah, so, with Zadarius Smith, I didn't think he would be back, I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be a one and done for him. But the Browns re-signed him on a 2-year deal, which kind of caught me by surprise. I think, what ended up happening there is probably Andrew Berry looked at it and said, hey, we've been trying to find the running mate for Myles Garrett for a long, long time. We finally feel we have him with Zadarius Smith, and they probably just wanted to keep him around and ensure, at least for the next 2 years, you have him under contract. I like Zadarius. I think he's fun. I think he's a really good player as long as he can stay healthy. But I want to see a rotation there. I want to see Alex Wright get on the field. I want to see what Isaiah McGuire can do. So I like the signing. I was shocked by the signing, especially because it's a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
But, with Sione Takitaki leaving and Anthony Walker going to Miami, the Browns have to do something at linebacker. And one of the moves that we made, Jordan Hicks signed to the Cleveland Browns. I know Dipple's a huge fan of Jordan Hicks, so shout out to you. But, listen, in all honesty, Jordan Hicks is not a bad signing. Like, this is a guy who's a veteran linebacker who's a tackling machine. PFF has given him pretty consistent good grades over the last few years. This is not somebody who's going to come in and be a huge difference maker by any means. But, in terms of filling the Anthony Walker role, that's what you have here. And he's played on the Jim Schwartz defense. You sign him cheap. It makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense. So, yeah.
We kind of touched on it earlier. Naheem Hines with Cleveland now as well. He provides a Jakeem Grant replacement, potential third running back or second running back, depending on how you look at it. Some other exits: Jordan Elliott to San Francisco, Harrison Bryant to Vegas. Rest in peace, betting over 0.5 receptions, Derek.
That made me very happy. I did not want to bring him back.
Michael Ford to Houston. As far as returning players, how do you feel about the fact that Michael Dunn is coming back?
I like Michael Dunn. I think he is a sneaky, valuable player on that offensive line. He can kind of fill in wherever you need him, and you need guys like that. So,
yep,
I like bringing him back a lot.
Fantastic depth piece. I can't say that word. For the Browns. Shelby Harris is back. He was great when we picked him up mid-season last year. Glad to have him back.
Yeah. Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst both come back. The Browns were losing potentially 3 defensive tackles with Jordan Elliott, Mo Hurst, and Shelby Harris, and they find a way to bring both of them back. Shelby Harris signed a 2-year deal. Mo Hurst signs another 1-year deal. Personally, I would have rather had that flipped. I would have rather had Mo Hurst for 2 years and Shelby for 1. But regardless, it is it's valuable getting 2 veteran interior, players on that defensive line who worked out well. I mean, both of them were very good. So, when you got a guy like Tino there in the middle that you got to try to figure out his role on the defense. You need the vets. So, talking about Siaki Ika, but you get the point. You got to have the vets there. And bringing back both of those 2 guys, Maurice Hurst and Shelby Harris, great value. Jordan Elliott, good riddance, buddy. You had 1 good year here in Cleveland. I can't believe he got the deal that he got. That's crazy. Absolutely insane.
But, yeah, that definitely took me by surprise as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned it. Michael Ford was out the door. Harrison Bryant out the door. A very good re-signing for the Cleveland Browns. Corey Bojorquez returns to Cleveland on a 2 to 3 year deal.
I'm happy to have Bojorquez back. Or elsewhere, Hakeem Adeniji.
Yes.
Offensive depth from the Bengals, actually.
Look at you pronouncing that.
Yeah. Derek, I'm pretty good. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah. Hakeem Adeniji to the Browns from the Bengals. Another AFC North to AFC North swap. Great depth piece along the offensive line. And something that broke right before we started recording, kind of. Joe Flacco got himself a deal somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently Joe Flacco was never offered a deal to remain in Cleveland in the first place. I just want to say that I think I called it. On the first episode of the podcast, I said Chops would be heavy breathing in Deshaun's ear about not bringing Joe Flacco back, and suddenly Joe Flacco doesn't get a deal. Deshaun Watson a little bit worried about screwing up and hearing Joe Flacco's footsteps in the background. I don't know, but all we know is Joe Flacco is going to be an Indianapolis Colt next season.
Yeah, and the Browns come out and make a fantastic signing, at least in my opinion. Getting Jameis Winston, allegedly didn't even offer Joe Flacco any sort of deal. I want to say this. People who are still bitching and complaining that Joe Flacco's not in Cleveland, you're a weirdo. Like, you're legit a weirdo, and you're obsessed. Because Joe Flacco is never a part of this team's future, ever. No. The offense is changing. Flacco does not fit this newer offensive style that the Browns are wanting to run. So the fact that the Browns went out and got Jameis Winston on, yes, a 1 year up to like $9 million deal, it's $4 million guaranteed. So you got to look at it from that standpoint, because odds are he's not going to hit all of his incentives because they're probably going to be playing based. In case Deshaun Watson were to go down. So, I mean, this is a great addition, at least in my opinion. You get a younger backup who he throws a lot of touchdowns, but he also throws a lot of picks, but he's athletic. He's more athletic. He's hilarious. I love it. I couldn't be any happier that for the 2024 season, we now have the entertainment value of Jameis Dub-Eaton Winston on this team. I'm pumped about it. I'm pumped.
You know, we also have 2 national championship winning quarterbacks.
Winning mentality.
Like yep. And I just seen this in the notes, so congratulations to whoever wrote this in. We have the most dangerous quarterback room in the National Football League. Yeah, unfortunately, there's over 1,600 active NFL players, and the only 2 that, do what our quarterbacks do just so happen to be Deshaun Watson and Jameis Winston. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this on Twitter, but yeah, we got some freaks in the QB room, and I hope they just go crazy all over the field and just throw darts all over the field in 2024.
Hey, I'm looking forward to Jameis Winston pulling crab legs out of Lake Erie. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, God.
So, with that being said...
Yeah, speaking of crab legs and food...
And eating.
Everybody's favorite, Faustino, is back.
Hopefully.
For what should be his 3rd rendition of Faustino's Brownie Bites. But for some reason, he didn't feel inclined to send us a video last week. So, Faustino, all I'm saying is you got one more strike and you're done.
I missed last week. I'm sorry. I really am. Please forgive me. I got a treat for you guys this week. The classic, the original, the first brownie ever, probably. I don't know if that's true or not. But the Cosmic Brownie. I'm going to be eating this, reviewing this, as you guys already know. But while I struggle to open this, because I did it. But while I'm opening this, free agency's been okay. Hoping it gets better. But, what the fuck am I talking? You don't give a shit about my opinion. You just want to see me eat a brownie. Cheers. Alright. It's pretty good. It's classic. 6 out of 10.
Thank you, Faustino, for whatever the hell that was. We love you. We just think it's unfortunate we can't stop the diabetes from progressing at this point. So speaking of progressing, let's talk about how Jerry Jeudy impacts the Cleveland Browns. We'll touch on this subject again. Derek, if you'd like to kick it off, by all means, go right ahead.
All right. Yeah. So, I think the biggest thing for the Browns coming into this offseason was without a doubt, figure out wide receiver 2. Because last year, Elijah Moore was fine. Amari Cooper was great. David Njoku was great. But we didn't really see a whole lot of production, at least not what we were hoping for, out of either Elijah Moore, certainly not Cedric Tillman after the DPJ trade, and David Bell. He was fine. Everybody keeps holding on to hope that he's great. He was okay when he was on the field. But Jerry Jeudy, what this does is a couple things. A, talking about the future here, it gives the Browns flexibility when it comes to the draft. You're no longer tied down to picking a certain position, with your first selection. However, will they go receiver? Certainly still a possibility. I mean, you have 3 receivers now with Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Elijah Moore, all of them on their last year of their deals. I believe 2 of them will stick around. I believe it'll be Amari Cooper and Jeudy. But for next year, while these guys are all currently together, it's going to be a huge, huge upgrade because Amari Cooper can do what he does. David Njoku will do what he does. But between Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore, this is going to help out both of them, I feel, equally. Because Jeudy, a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is a guy who's going to play on the outside, which he can. He certainly can, and he can play on a high level on the outside. But Jeudy does a lot of his dirty work in the slot. And, that's what we hoped Elijah Moore could be. But Tony, when Elijah Moore played for the Browns this past year, he was actually pretty successful on the outside as well. So, for Jeudy, he's got a number one next to him who's going to take attention away. He's got an elite tight end on the field with him who's going to take attention away. Don't forget, you still have Nick Chubb. So I think this is Judy's comeback. I think this is Jerry Jeudy cementing himself as what he was supposed to be, being one of the top receivers in the league. And what do I mean by that? I think Jerry Jeudy hits 1,000 yards this year. I think Jerry Jeudy, he has been hovering around the 700, 800, 900 range. That's been a big conversation that he hasn't hit 1,000 yards. I think this is the year he does it. If he does not, I think he's high 900s at the minimum. And it just opens everything up.
I kind of view this as somewhat of the LeBron. Why did I stutter? The LeBron effect in basketball. Playing with LeBron opens the floor up and makes you a better player. Playing alongside Jerry Jeudy, along with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, will make Elijah Moore better. You can't guard everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be someone's going to be open, and more often than not, they're going to be like, all right, let's let Elijah Moore beat us instead of Amari Cooper or Jerry Jeudy or David Njoku, or let Cedric Tillman beat us instead of the other three. It's going to make the other wide receivers better. It's going to open up the field more, and it's going to work to the Browns' benefit, certainly, this upcoming season. And again, I love it, and I cannot be more thrilled about the acquisition of Jerry Jeudy. And I think it's a great thing for Cleveland. It's another great move by Andrew Berry, like we said earlier. The Browns are going to be just fine this upcoming season at wide receiver. And yes, like you said, it was the most important issue that they needed to address, and they perfectly addressed it with this trade. And it opens up the possibility in the draft to address other areas of need, like potentially more offensive line depth, potentially more defensive line depth, a corner, a safety, linebackers, which is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
Even another running back to bring into the fold if you want. But who else should the Cleveland Browns grab? And this is someone I'm
One last thing I want to throw in real fast on Jeudy before we move on. Yes, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Elijah Moore all on one more year. What does that do? This is very important. They're playing for contracts. And especially, Cooper's going to do what he's going to do. But Jeudy and Elijah Moore both have something to prove. And if they want to get a bag, they have something to prove. You are going to see a lot of production, I think, out of the both of those guys. Because when money is a motivator, people act different. People try much harder. People try to be their very best. I think you're going to see both of those guys level up. Now, personally, I'd like to see Jeudy be the, like I said, Jeudy and Cooper be the guys that are kept around. But regardless, I think that's a factor that needed to be talked about. But yes, who else should the Browns sign? Tony, give your thoughts.
I think this is obvious. Jerome Baker. I will beat the table until it happens. Bring Jerome Baker home, and don't get duped by fake screenshots like a certain Derek Frisbee across from me.
Well, first of all, context here. It was not a fake screenshot. It was a real article that I went to, read, and screenshotted and posted on Twitter. So, it is not that I got duped. It is the writer of said article. Do not know your name, not trying to throw you under the bus. That person was duped. And I don't know. I just saw there was an article, and I was like, hey, interesting.
Well, much like we seen when Kevin Grandier tweeted the fake Baker Mayfield quotes, apparently, SI writers are starting to got a little bit, or jumping the gun a little bit. Unfortunately, had everybody in a frenzy, but that just wasn't the case, Jerome Baker has not signed for the Cleveland Browns as of yet, but I do believe it will happen before the end of the NFL free agency period. I hope it happens. I look forward to it happening. He is the one major need I think that we now have to grab out of free agency, and then I will be fine if we do not make another move at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay even if we kept Greg Newsome, which is very unlikely, and I still look for him to also get traded. But yeah, we really do need to bring in Jerome Baker. Is there anyone else you'd like for the Cleveland Browns to potentially bring in? What about Mike Williams? He was released earlier.
I don't want anything to do with Mike Williams personally. I would much rather go the draft route just to get some security in that receiver room. As far as the long term,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't like Mike Williams at all. I know he played with Deshaun Watson. But yes, I'm in agreement with you. I think Jerome Baker is the obvious glaring signing that the Browns should make. But if it's not Jerome Baker, a guy you might be able to get a little bit cheaper, just get some athletic freaks in that linebacker room and bring a guy like Isaiah Simmons in. I think he would not cost a whole lot. I think he would be a good fit. And I'd be excited to see what Jim Schwartz could do with a guy like that. Right? We have the versatility of Delpit, who is a hybrid guy, can play all over the field. JOK is a hybrid guy who can play all over the field. Why not go out and sign somebody like Isaiah Simmons, similar to Delpit, played strong safety, and then moved into the linebacker spot? I think that'd be a great fit. If not him, DJ Reader, Eric Armstead, somebody. I mean, the Browns have done little to nothing. They have brought their own guys back, aside from a couple, and then signed Jordan Hicks. That's all well and good. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Again, Jeudy trade is the diamond
Marquee
on the
piece.
yeah. But I think we're missing one thing. We're missing that one thing. Second to Jerry Jeudy, the diamond next to that would be Jameis Winston. But I think we're just missing somebody. And I personally, we got to get a linebacker. I know the Browns don't value it. I know the Browns don't look at it as a big deal. But right now, your starting linebacker core is Jordan Hicks, JOK, and Tony Fields, which some people might be fine with that. I ain't. Absolutely not.
Me neither.
And you don't want a rookie starting, probably.
No, you certainly don't. Yeah, the Browns absolutely need to address the linebacker position, and Jerome Baker fills those needs, so that's definitely a guy you have to bring in. Anyone else you could think of that you would like the Cleveland Browns to add?
I mean, there's really nobody that the Browns need. I expect us to sign a corner cheap, losing Mike Ford to the Houston Texans. Again, another former Brown going to Houston. They love us there. I would expect the Browns maybe to sign a corner, especially if Greg Newsome were to be traded. So that's a possibility. But outside of that, I don't think there's a whole lot of additions. Maybe tight end. I think we draft a running back. If the Browns want to sign a guy like J.K. Dobbins, I wouldn't be mad at it. But probably not. That probably is not happening.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Anyways, the Browns have to find their fit at the linebacker position. And speaking of finding your fit, head on over to TwoOneFits.com and find your fit. TwoOneFits.com, where you can get all your great Cleveland-themed merch, Cavs, Browns, Guardians, Lake Erie, City of Cleveland merch. And he's going to make a fuss of it if I don't say it. DF Sports merch. But we have a special announcement, speaking of TwoOneFits. Now, the NCAA basketball tournament Selection Sunday is this upcoming Sunday, March the 17th, for the men's bracket. We are going to do a special contest, and there will be more details all week on the Dog Pound Discussions social media, Twitter pages, Facebook pages, possibly YouTube, probably the 2-1-Fits accounts. There's going to be a link to an ESPN bracket challenge, and there will be a free 2-1-Fits shirt for the winner of this contest. It says Muni Lot Madness. It has the bracket design on it. Great shirt. I love it. But there will be more information on this later this week. If you think you're great and can pick the perfect bracket, then you're the perfect participant for this contest. And there is some rules, though. You do have to follow the Dog Pound Discussions Twitter page, 2OneFits Twitter page or Facebook page or be subscribed to the YouTube. We'll focus more on that when there's more information later on in the week. We will be seeing this on Friday, most likely, when the information comes out. A couple days before Selection Sunday, likely will post the link on Friday for this bracket challenge. So make sure you get signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off next week.
Absolutely. We do, before we move on, there's a little bit of breaking news. This is not a big thing at all, but it is Cleveland Browns related. The Browns lose Harrison Bryant, the just absolute Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer Harrison Bryant. And they are finalizing a deal with Panthers tight end Giovanni, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Richie? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just show you on the screen. That dude. Whoever that dude is, I don't know anything about him currently as we stand. He is now a Cleveland Brown. Welcome to Cleveland. So, a little bit of breaking news there on the podcast. I'm not excited whatsoever about it. My guess would be he's probably a camp body, yet to be replaced by who the Browns probably draft. So, there you go.
So, I guess we should get into our favorite segment of the week.
It's time.
Derek, take it away.
Yes, the coveted, most important award, aside from this, which Chunk will never hold. Honky of the Week this week. And, there's a lot of movement around the NFL, and there's a lot of guys moving around, some stars changing teams. Well, none other than Howie Roseman, general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, gets the coveted Honky of the Week award this week for the moves that he's made. C.J. Gardner-Johnson coming back, signing Saquon Barkley, which is a monumental thing to happen there for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Don't forget bringing Bryce Huff in as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so...
Yep. Congratulations, Howie Roseman. You are the third winner of the Honky of the Week award.
Yes, so Howie Roseman takes the crown there. We'll see who the winner is next week. We'll see between now and next week who will pull off that award.
So, we've had a little bit of a weird episode here tonight. But we'll be back next week with more free agency information, some draft prep, some draft needs post-free agency. Thank you for sticking with us if you've made it to this point, not only in this podcast show, but the first two episodes, that you can make it through all of me and Derek's antics and our stupid inside jokes. We appreciate you. Catch us right here next week, same time on Friday at 2 p.m. for more Dog Pound discussions. Go Browns.
Go Browns.